Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It has been a minute since I posted. I think like 5, maybe even 6 years. Something crazy like that. So I am back with my daughter. I am going to be starting regular vlogs and updates again. But before I start those, I do just want to do a video, or might actually end up putting this into 2 parts, I'm not sure yet. Just kind of an update, an explanation of where I've been, what my horses are doing, and explaining my new horses. So, let's just jump right into this. Okay, so the last time I posted was probably 5 or 6 years ago, so if you remember me from back then, if you are a returning viewer, then welcome back. If you're new here, then welcome to my channel, and get ready for hopefully a bunch of new vlogs, hauls, riding videos, basically everything that I did before and more. Okay, so a lot of things have happened in the last 5 or 6 years, which I will kind of touch on as I go through this video. But basically, in a nutshell, Bev went on a lease, and I kind of stopped riding as much. I was in school, and then eventually had my daughter. So at the time that I posted my last video, I'm not sure if it was like shortly before my last video or shortly after I posted it. But basically I ended up getting a different trainer who is now like a really good friend of mine. So whatever time frame it was, I was with a, like, pretty much like when all my other videos were posted, I was with a trainer that, she wasn't technically my trainer, but she was a friend that was helping me out, and I basically, like, not that she's not a good trainer, she totally is. I just kind of felt like our training methods and riding styles weren't really meshing well together anymore, and she was a good friend and a good trainer. It's just that we weren't, I just didn't feel that we were any longer compatible together. So I did get somebody else, and this trainer friend is still my friend today, and she's actually still like riding Bev now, 6 years later. So now I've had Bev for 8, almost 9 years. So she is still with me. I do still have her. My other pony, Angie, that was in the videos, I no longer have her. I won't talk too much about it, but basically I had her for 15 years. She was my heart horse. She was like everything to me. But she actually passed away almost 2 years ago, really unexpectedly. So we think it was probably a heart attack or an aneurysm. She was going strong and spunky and hot as ever till the day she passed away. It happened really suddenly. We don't think that she suffered or anything, so that's, you know, all that I would hope for. If a horse passes away suddenly like that, I just want to know that she didn't suffer. So I don't think that she did, and people who were there at the time don't think that she did either. So yeah, but after my last video was posted, I did continue riding her, but I was in school, so I wasn't riding her as much as I would have liked to. So my barn owner's daughter actually took over riding her for me. And I did still ride her like once every couple weeks or something, but it was mostly my barn owner's daughter riding her. And they did go to some shows together, and they did really well, so that was awesome. So I am going to be like looking at my phone a little bit, just because obviously it's been so long and there is a lot to cover to kind of catch you guys up to where things are at now. So I am going to be like kind of looking at my phone and just kind of looking at my points that I want to touch on for you guys. Okay, so yeah, so I switched trainers, and she was with us for a couple of years, and then due to being in school and work and just being so busy, and I didn't have time to ride Bev or show Bev how I wanted her to be. Like, when I bought her, my goals were to do the A circuit, do the hunt her ring, like take her as far as we could go, and then eventually retire her and breed her. But I never wanted to breed her without having her compete and do well in the show ring. I never would have just bred her just because. So basically I just decided that she needed to go on a lease and be with somebody who could have the time to ride her and show her how I wanted her to be doing that, and I just didn't have time for that. So she ended up going on a lease up north from here. I think it was like 6 hours away-ish. It was a really amazing barn, like hands down. Like if I ever needed to sell her, they would be like my first choice. So she went up there and she competed for a while with them, and so yeah, so she competed for a little while with them. Sorry, you guys can probably hear my daughter in the background, but yeah, she's just gonna play while I do this. Yeah, so she went up north and she competed with them for a while, and I think she was with them for about a year, I want to say. So, and then the girl that was leasing her ended her lease. I won't go into too much detail of that, but it was nothing they did wrong and nothing Bev did wrong. It was just personal stuff was going on with their family. So they unfortunately did end their lease, and Bev did stay with the trainer for, I think, like 6 months after, something like that. And she just kind of stayed in training with them just because I obviously still didn't have the time to be riding her how I wanted to. So she stayed in training up there, and I did go and visit her a couple times while she was up there. And then eventually she did come back home, but I knew that it was probably not going to work for me to have her full time still, so I did want to look for a part leaser for her. So she did end up finding a leaser, but this girl wanted to do a free lease off property, which I figured, you know, this is fine, I've done it before, whatever, it's no big deal. So I did it, and the girl essentially broke everything in my contract that I had in my contract. Like, and when I make a contract, it is like my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. Like, I do everything, and probably seems really strict to a lot of people, but you know, it's my horse. It's, at the end of the day, that's my baby, and I need to do what's best for her. And if a leaser can't follow those terms, which it's nothing ridiculous, but it was basically like, I want her in this bit, and you know, little things like that, and like she's got to have all 4 shoes on, and it was just stuff like that basically. It was nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. But basically this girl didn't follow any of that. She ended up using training gadgets. I won't go into detail because there's so much controversy on certain training gadgets, and I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea of my stance on training gadgets. Is just the scenario that it happened in was not okay. So yeah, she used training gadgets on my horse that I was totally not okay with, and I had it in the contract that those specific items were not to be used, and they were. And then she also, there was a couple instances where she had the vet out for my horse, like not for something routine like vaccines. It was like for colic, or I think there was like an injury one time, and she did not inform me of this. She didn't even use my vet, which was another thing in the contract to use my vet. That was another scenario. Another thing was that she actually ended up pulling my horse's hind shoes, not her farrier. Again, she used a different farrier than I wanted my horse to have. So, and this girl was local. Like, there would have been no problem for her to use my vet or my farrier. You know, if she had any reason that she didn't want to use them, she could have brought it to my attention, and you know, we would have dealt with it. But yeah, so she had her farrier pull Bev's hind shoes, and Bev was obviously ouchy because they were jumping her, they were competing, like, you know, this horse needs her hind shoes. So yeah, that was kind of my last straw. So I ended up ending that lease. It was kind of mutual, because another thing that kind of made it mutual, I guess, was that she wanted a price on Bev because she really wanted to buy her, which I understand. Like, you obviously should love your lease horse, but Bev was not for sale. And I made it very clear from day one of this girl trying out Bev that she was never going to be for sale. Like, this horse is, especially now, like, this horse is not going anywhere. She's going to stay with me till the day she dies. So I made it very clear that this horse was not for sale. And she kept pressuring me. Like, I would get texts like at least a few times a week of her pressuring me to give a sale price on Bev, and said, oh, even if you're not wanting to sell her, then I still need a sale price. I'm like, nope, sorry, I'm not putting a price tag on her, because there is no reason that this horse would ever be sold. And another thing that I didn't tell her, obviously, because I did want to keep this on good terms at this point, was that if something ever happened to me or something and Bev had to be sold, she likely would not even be sold right away. And if she was, she would go back to the people up north that she was with, because they did make it clear that if I ever did want to sell her, that they would be super interested. And they had such an amazing program. They had over 200 acres of farm. Like, it was just this amazing place. So I did make it quite known to the people in my life that if I ever suddenly died or something, my horse was to be given to them, essentially, and everyone was cool with that. So this girl just would not give in, though, that she needed a price tag on my horse. And another thing kind of on that topic was that she wanted a horse that was like $5,000 and under. And my horse, like, I mean, it's not about the money. If I ever did sell my horse, it's not about the money, especially now, which I'll get into. But yeah, it's not about the money. And at the time, Bev was showing a circuit hunter. She was like up to 3,639. That's not a $5,000 horse. She was worth more than that. Like, I never did have a price tag on her. I never did have a set price because it wasn't ever going to be needed, and it still isn't. And it's kind of like, it doesn't really matter now anyway, which I'll get into why it doesn't. But yeah, my horse was definitely going to be worth more than that, and she was kind of pressuring me to give a price that was $5,000 and under, and I was like, even if you could afford more than that, I'm not putting a price on this horse. I didn't say that, but you know, I was just like, this horse doesn't get a price tag because she's not for sale. So long story short, not really short because that was really long. Yeah, that lease ended. I brought her home. So after that all happened, Bev came home and she kind of just hung out for a little bit, and she basically had to unwind because I don't know what the heck went on in the barn that she was at. It was just, she came back and she was like wired all the time. Like, she went from being such a chill, quiet, do whatever you want with her type horse to, it was like she was just jacked. So anyway, she had to like calm down from that. I don't know what the fuck went on there, but yeah, she had to come down from that. And after she was kind of more back to herself, I did post another ad saying that I was looking for a leaser for her, just because I was still not in a position to ride her how I wanted to. And I still had Angie at that time, my little gray pony. Things were getting busier with work and stuff, so I still continued to have an ad up for her that I would prefer an on-property part leaser. But I did say that I was definitely open to a free lease. So it ended up actually that a lady that has a large barn like an hour or two from here, who is good friends with the first lady that Bev went with, was looking for a horse for a couple of students of hers. So they ended up taking her, and again, it was a really great barn, really great program. I love the two girls that were on her, and I still keep in touch with one of them. Thanks. So yeah, I do still keep in touch with one of the girls, but yeah, so they took her, they had her in the program, they showed her, and I won't go into too much detail, but what ended up happening was Bev ended up being injured. It was nothing that they did wrong. It had nothing to do with the barn or their care or the girls leasing her. It had nothing to do with any of that. It was just something that was probably predisposed to happen anyway. Oh, bye. So yeah, she ended up tearing her right front suspensory, which I didn't know until recently that she had actually torn it. I didn't know that she had actually torn it before, I think she was 2 or 3 when she tore it, and I got her as a 4-year-old. So she was healed from it at the time that I got her. Like, there was what? This kid is nuts. There was no indication that she ever had been injured, like at the time that I got her. So, again, I won't go into too much detail about that, but I had no idea until recently that she had even torn it the first time. But so she did tear it a second time while she was on lease for the last time, and this was now coming up on 3 years ago, I want to say, maybe 4. I think it was 3 years ago. So yeah, they were competing her and everything was great. Like, again, it was nothing that they did, nothing that they could have prevented. They did everything right. And I still have like nothing but love and respect for their barn and their programs. So it was truly just a freak accident. So yeah, she tore it. And then the cars, thank you. No? Oh, I thought you were giving it to me. So yeah, so Bev finished up her lease there. She did the first part of her stall rest there with them. Just because it would have been an almost 2-hour trailer ride home, I didn't want her to come home right away. And she technically, their contract wasn't even supposed to be up for like another like 6 months or something. But we obviously ended it early. But I did just want her to stay long enough to at least get 30 days notice at the barn and have her not have to stand in a trailer for 2 hours to come back to me. So eventually she did come back to me. She did 12 weeks of stall rest total, which included like cold hosing and blanking on the word, shock therapy. Probably wrong. Yeah, so just because I wasn't directly involved in that part of it, so I'm completely forgetting what it's actually called, but I think that's what it's called. Guys, seriously, I'm so sorry. My kid is like screeching this whole video. Promise she's having a good time though, so it's all good, right? So yeah, so she ended up coming back. She did the 12 weeks stall rest total, and then it just got to a point where she just wasn't healing anymore on stall rest, and she also was not happy being in a stall. So we made the decision to put her in paddock turnout. I'm not sure how big our paddocks are, but they're like maybe 20 by 20. I'm really bad at math and measuring, but let's just say they're 20 by 20. They might be more, they might be less. I'm really not sure. So yeah, we made the decision to put her on paddock turnout, just so that then she would be with her buddies in the day and she wasn't in her stall without anyone else in the barn. But we did decide that we were going to give her reserpine, which I hope I'm saying that right. It's basically like a long lasting sedative. I think it lasts about 30 days, they say. It might only be 14. But yeah, so we gave her that, and it didn't like drug her to the point that she was like drugged, like how you would picture a drug horse to be. Like she wasn't as drugged as like when you have their teeth done or whatever, nothing like that. But it basically just sedated her enough that she was quiet enough to have in a turnout situation and have her not try to lose her shit and go through a fence or something stupid like that and re-injure herself completely. So yeah, she went on turnout, and I think then another like 12-ish weeks went by and it still hadn't healed any further, and then we actually realized that she had fractured her splint. She didn't just pop it, she actually fractured it, which popping it is not a big deal, but she did fracture it. And then, another long story that I'm going to make super short. Basically, we found out, like, when I first got her, so backtrack like 9 years, she had an injury in the pasture. Holy crap, child. She had an injury in the pasture, and it was, her fetlock got kind of ripped open. We took care of it at the time. The vet that I was using at that time told me it was just superficial. There was no need to do anything other than cold hose and wrap it. So, new vet. We kind of started to question that at this point because it had never caused issues, like, whatsoever. So let me just make that clear. Like, this horse was sound. But at this point, with her other injuries going on, I did want to look into that, and since I was now using a new vet, we looked into that, and turns out that we don't know 100%, but the vet's best guess is that it had actually been fractured. I'm so sorry, guys. It turns out that we suspected it had actually been fractured at the time, like 8-9 years ago in the pasture. So yeah, send all the rude comments you want my way for not checking that out fully in the beginning. I fully understand my mistakes now, that I should have checked it out regardless of what the vet said, but that was the only vet I had ever used at that point. Like, I'd been with the same vet for so long that I just trusted whatever he said, and whatever he said, I was like, okay, it's fine, whatever. So yeah, I didn't think at the time that it was a big deal because she was so sound for years after. But it turns out that that probably, along with the fact that she had torn the front straight before and fractured the sesamoid on the opposite leg. There's probably some compensating going on. I know y'all who are not parents are probably wondering why the heck I did not just film this during nap time or something. She has not been taking naps. She's almost 2, and I think that naps are kind of out the window at this point. And I'm home basically 12 hours a day, just me with her, so I don't have anyone else to watch her until her dad gets home. And at that point, it's almost bedtime, and the only place that has decent enough lighting in my house is right next to her bedroom. So here we are, and I am, for like the 5th time, I am so sorry. Come here. Hopefully in my next video she won't be quite like this.